Hello everyone, this is Lexicon Architect coming at you with a new budget commander list, and we're going to be looking at one of the new commanders that I believe isn't out yet. I don't know the release date of this set, but I'm assuming all the cards are already spoiled already. But this deck looks like it's going to be a ton of fun to play. And I look forward to play testing it when it's ready. Maybe the card's are already out. I don't know. I can always find out later. But let's get into the deck tech. So we're playing a new commander called Imotekh the Stormlord. So he's a 4-mana 3/3 that says whenever one or more artifacts cards leaves your graveyard, you will create two 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens, and then it has an ability called Grand Strategist that says at the beginning of your combat on your turn, another target artifact creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains Menace. So this is important because Menace allows us to either swing in freely or force our opponent to block with 2 creatures, which is better than trading just for 1. So if they do block with 2 creatures, we kill both of them, hopefully, and get rid of a couple creatures on board. So let's get into the creature package. So we're going to be playing a ton of new cards. We're playing the Traveler. It's a 5-mana 4/4 that says whenever it attacks, you may cast an artifact spell from your hand or your graveyard by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. So by casting from our graveyard, we'll trigger our commander because all of our creatures are artifacts, or just being able to play a card from our hand for free despite losing life because of it is very beneficial, because we can drop a huge amount of bomb creatures that cost a lot onto the battlefield for free. So next, we're going to be looking at Armix Filigree Slasher. It's a 3-mana 3/2 that says when it attacks, you may discard a card, and when you do, target creature defending player controls get -X/-X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control plus the number of artifacts in our graveyard. So we do have a bunch of effects in this deck that mill us cards, get us artifacts into the drop. We can reanimate them with unearth effects, and this creature on its own can get rid of probably one of the biggest threats on board, since we're going to have a ton of artifacts in play and a ton of artifacts in the graveyard. Next, we're going to be playing Kennel Pet Scarab Swarm. It's a 4-mana 1/1 with flying that says when it enters the battlefield, you exile target player's graveyard, so we eat alive someone's entire grave. And for each artifact or land that was exiled, this way we will create a 1/1 colorless insect artifact creature token with flying. Then we're playing the Spider. It's a 5-mana 4/4 with flying that says whenever a non-token artifact creature or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. Then we're playing the Tomb Sentinel, a 4-mana 4/3 with vigilance that says when it ETBs from a graveyard, you can exile up to 1 target non-land permanent, and then its unearth cost is 7. Then we're going to be playing Imotekh Wraith, a 3-mana 2/1 that cannot be blocked, and then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 3 and sacrifice it, and if you do, you get to search your library for up to 2 basic land cards with the same name as the land you control and put them onto the battlefield tapped. So this works as a way to ramp us. So if we do connect with it, we pay 3 and we can get 2 swamps if we already have a swamp in control. Then we're playing Cryptech, a 4-mana 3/3 that we can pay 2 to choose another artifact creature we control, and then when it dies this turn, we return it to the battlefield tapped under your control. Then we're going to play Crypto Thrall, 4-mana 3/3 that gives all our other artifact creatures hexproof. Then we're going to be playing an old card called Disciple of the Vault. So it says whenever an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, we may have a target opponent lose 1 life. Then we're playing a 3-mana 4/1 with lifelink that when it ETBs, you get to mill 3 cards. Then we're playing Foundry Inspector to make our artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Then we're playing Illuminator Saras, a 3-mana 3/3 that we can sacrifice another creature, and we add an amount of swamp equal to the sacrificed creature's mana value. Then we're playing Karn Legacy Reforged. It is a 5-mana spell that says his power and toughness are equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. And then at the beginning of our upkeep, we can add a colorless mana for each artifact we control. And then this mana cannot be spent to cast non-artifact spells until the end of the turn. You do not lose mana as steps and phases end. Then we're going to be playing Heavy Destroyer. It is a 4-mana 3/2 with flying that says when it ETBs, each player sacrifices a creature, and then we can return it from the graveyard to the battlefield by paying 8 mana for its unearthed cost. It will gain haste, and then we have to exile it at the beginning of our next end step. Then we play a new card from the Lord of the Rings set called Mirkwood Bats. It's a 4-mana 2/3 with flying that says whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Then we're playing an older card in Myr Retriever, 2-mana 1/1 that says when it dies, we can return another target artifact from our graveyard to our hand. So this will trigger our commander and generate us 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creatures. Then we're playing Necron Deathmark, a 5-mana 5/3 with flash that says when it ETBs, destroy up to 1 target creature, and that target player mills 3 cards. So we could either choose our opponent or we can choose ourselves. Destroy our creature, mill 3. If it has an unearthed ability or we have some way to bring it back from the grave, it will also trigger our commander. Then we play Necron Overlord. It's a 4-mana 2/5 that you can pay X and then tap X untapped artifacts you control, and target opponent loses X life. So we might be in a situation where we have so many artifacts on board that we can just dump all our mana into this and drain our opponent for lethal damage. Then we're playing Plasmancer. It's a 4-mana 3/3 with flying that says when it ETBs, you can search your library for a basic swamp card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Then we're playing Cyclomancer, a 2-mana 1/1 with flying that says whenever it or a non-token artifact creature you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 2 loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this works for us because like let's say we unearth a card, it comes in, it has haste, you exile it, then you can trigger this ability to have an opponent lose a life and you gain a life. Then we play Razor's Flash Transmigrant, a 2-mana 3/1 that can't block, but for 6 mana you can return it to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it, and this ability costs 4 less to cast if an opponent controls 4 more non-basics. So if our opponents are playing a ton of non-basics, we only have to pay 2 mana and we can reanimate this card. Then we play Royal Warden. It's a 5-mana 3/2 that says when it enters the battlefield, you create 2 tapped 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens, and then you can unearth it for 4 mana. Then we play Scrap Trawler, a 3-mana 2/2 that says whenever it or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact creature in your graveyard with lesser mana value. Then we're going to play Shard of the Void Dragon, which is a 7/7 flying creature that says whenever it attacks, each opponent sacrifices a non-land permanent, and then whenever artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, you will put 2/1/1 counters on it. Then we're playing Scorepact Lord. It is a 3-mana 3/2 with Menace that says other artifact creatures you control get +1/+0 and have Menace, and then you can unearth it for 3. And then we're playing the Silent King, which is a 4-mana 3/4 with flying that says whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact, creature card, or vehicle from among them mill this way into your hand. So if we mill an artifact creature, we return it to our hand, trigger our commander, get 2/2 tokens. Then we're playing Technomancer, a 7-mana 5/1, that when it ETBs, you mill 3 cards, and then you can return any number of artifact creatures from your graveyard with 6 or less mana value from the graveyard to the battlefield. So we can probably just reanimate like almost our entire graveyard if I do read this card correctly. Then we play Trazyn the Infinite. It's a 6-mana 4/6 with Death Touch, and as long as it is on the battlefield, it has all the activated abilities of artifact cards in your graveyard. And then finally, our last creature is Triarch Praetorian, a 2-mana 1/1 with flying that when it enters the battlefield from the graveyard, you draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life, and then we can unearth it for 5. As far as sorceries, we're going to be playing Buried Alive to get creature cards into our graveyard. We play Emergency Weld to return target artifact creature from your graveyard to your hand, which will trigger the commander, and then we will also create a colorless soldier artifact creature token. Then we play Fortuitous Find. It's a 3-mana sorcery that we can choose one or both. We can return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, and you could also return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Then we're playing Monumental Corruption. It is a 5-mana sorcery that says target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Then we play Night's Whisper to draw 2 and lose 2. We play Read the Bones to scry 2, then draw 2, then lose 2. Then we play Sign in Blood to draw 2 and lose 2 life. Then we're playing a new board wipe, and their name is Death. So for 6 mana, you can destroy all non-artifact creatures. And since mostly all of our creatures are artifacts, this is a free board wipe. You don't have to worry about losing your board at all. And then we play a new card called Their Number is Legion. So it's a 4-mana spell with X, and you create X, tap 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens, and then you gain life equal to the number of artifacts you control. You exile this, and then you can also cast this from your grave. For instance, we're playing Corrupted Conviction to allow us to sack a creature and draw 2, Dark Ritual for ramp, Deadly Dispute to sack a creature or an artifact, draw 2, create a treasure, Defile for removal, Go for the Throat for removal, Infernal Grasp for removal, Reckoner's Bargain to sacrifice an artifact or creature, gain life equal to its mana value, then draw 2. Then we're playing Unseal the Necropolis, a 3-mana instant that each player mills 3 cards, and then you can return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to our hand, which is good because it's going to trigger our commander. And then we play Village Rites to sack a creature to draw 2. As far as artifacts, we're playing the Signet, the Commander Sphere, Foul Storm, we're playing Lembas, because when the ETBs, we scry then draw, then we can sack it to gain 3 life, and then whenever it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, it gets shuffled back into our deck. Then we play Lightning Greaves for protection. Then we're playing Planeteer of Ornithanc, 3-mana legendary artifact from the Lord of the Rings set that says at the beginning of your end step, you put an influence counter on it, then you scry 2, and then target opponent may have you draw a card, and if that player doesn't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on it, and that player loses a life equal to the total mana value of those cards. Then we play a new card in Scepter of Eternal Glory. It's a 4-mana artifact that will produce us 1 mana of any color, and then we can add 3 mana of any one color if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. So if we have 3 swamps, this artifact will give us 3 black mana. As far as enchantments, we're playing Biotransference. It's a new card that's 4 mana that says creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creatures you control that aren't on the battlefield. And then whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may lose a life. Well, no, you lose a life and you create a 2/2 Black Necron Warrior artifact creature token. Then we play Dark Prophecy. It's a 3-mana enchantment that says whenever your creature you control dies, you draw a card and lose a life. Then we play Phyrexian Arena, which pings us for 1 during our upkeep, but we draw an additional card. Then we're also playing a new saga called The War in Heaven, which is a 6-mana spell. So we draw 3 cards, lose 3 life. Second chapter, we mill 3. And then for the final chapter on the saga, you can choose up to 3 target artifact creatures with total mana value 8 or less in your graveyard, and you can return each of them to the battlefield with a Necrodomus counter on it. They are artifacts in addition to their other types. And then our last enchantment is Tortured Existence. It's a 1-mana enchantment that for 1 black, we can choose and discard a creature card from our hand. If we do, we can return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. As far as lands, we're playing Cabal Coffers to generate us a ton of mana. Same thing with Cabal Stronghold, Castle Lothwain to allow us to draw a card and lose life equal to the number of cards in our hand. Then we play Crypt of Agathim. It enters the battlefield tap, but it does provide you a black mana. And then for 2, you add a black mana for each black creature in your graveyard. Then we play Inventor's Spare. We use this mostly for the life gain, but we could sacrifice it for 4 to search our library for our artifact card, reveal it, put it into our hand, then shuffle our library. And we can only activate this ability if we control 3 or more artifacts. Then we're playing 27 Swamps. We're playing Takenuma because it allows us to mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. And this ability costs 1 less to cast for each legendary creature we control. Then we play the Michelson Gardens. It taps for a colorless. You can pay 1, add 1 mana of any color. But the major ability here is this X ability, where it becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. So that is the deck. In a nutshell, we curve out at 2. This deck is going to run you anywhere between $200 to $205, depending on where you get your cards. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It will be uploaded to YouTube shortly. If you like this style of content, please subscribe to me on YouTube. I will be eternally grateful for that, and you have a good day.